Before I really get going on the business of the day, I'm going to have a rant about tourism because I really do get very, very angry. We posted a few days ago a picture of a donkey that was very old, still pulling a cart in Marrakesh. We have been looking for it since, and I think its owner knows I'm after it, so it's probably being hidden somewhere. We've already bought another one up from the Medina. And I say on these posts that there are very few of the older people left who use a donkey for working in that way. And they're not going to be there very much longer. We have most of the donkeys from the Medina up here now anyway. And when we're handling those cases, we have to be so careful. We can't leave people without a livelihood. We have to find a solution somehow. And I try to explain that online. When I posted the photograph of this donkey that a tourist had sent to me, I did it because I hoped if I couldn't find it straight away, other tourists in the area could track it down and let me know. But what do I get in response to that particular one? Now, because it looks very skinny and very old, of course, social media loves it, don't they? So they keep pushing the photograph. And I get comment after comment telling me how awful Morocco is, how dreadful these people are, and of course, how much better the West is. And I should just concentrate on looking after the animals. I reply best I can, and I stress, how much it costs to look after these animals every week. I even said to somebody this morning who suggested a motorised vehicle, why don't we buy a motorised vehicle? These elderly men are now so old they wouldn't be able to drive one, and they may well have it taken off them by the police here in Morocco anyway. So I ask people to be a little more understanding about Morocco, what it is, the cultural changes that are taking place, and the role we are playing. And support would be more useful to me than being criticised. I'm not going to put up with it anymore. I'm going to come back on you tourists. I've seen so many of you say, we've been to Marrakesh, we'd never go there again. The state of the animals, it was shocking, etc., etc. Now, the really committed tourists very often come up here. If they come up here, you can read our reviews and they'll say, this was the best trip they had in Morocco. They were so heartened to see what we were doing. What my Moroccan team were doing. Moroccans, the people other folk criticise. And what I criticise tourists for is you have created this problem, so many of you. Before the pandemic, and certainly when I was younger and we first used to come to Morocco, people who visited came for the cultural experience. There were very few flights coming into the airport, and people fell in love with Morocco, had a lot more understanding about it. Since tourism has grown, the Medina is almost becoming like Disneyland. And if you look at what most of the tourists do, I'll tell you, okay, they come to the clubs. They love them. Secondly, they ride camels. They love it. Camels who will have a string tied round their tongue to restrain them with these tourists on top. They're happy to go out in the caleche, on the carriages that are pulled by the horses. So you'll have some people complaining about how awful it is, how they're standing there in the heat. But the majority of tourists come here to enjoy what they see Morocco to offer. And because of that sort of attitude and the attitude of tourists, they are feeding into the ongoing, what we may see, abuse of animals. So we're having to deal with the governments, the royal family, the tourist board, the Minister of the Interior. I have huge regard for all of them. They are trying to introduce new laws to improve things. They maybe won't get it all right, but then neither does our government in the UK either. I work with these people and I have been accepted in Morocco. I am allowed to do the work I do, and we are saving animals every day. So in future, those of you that put posts up and say, these people are evil, or I have no time for Morocco, you will be blocked. Now, some of you may say to me, well, that's rather foolish, isn't it? Because we depend on donations. Are these people going to donate to me anyway? Of course they're not. And I don't want to be one of these charities that puts up pictures of nice fluffy donkeys and say, please send £2 or £3 a month. Like the big charities, the ones that advertise on television. But I have to find a way of getting that support from people who genuinely care and understand what we're about. So I'm going to say at this point of time, this year I plan to go to New York, London, and where was I going? New York, London, and possibly Paris. But I'm going to travel while I still can, while I can still speak, whilst I can stand on a platform. So for those of you that would like me to come and stand on any platform, a village hall, a gathering of people who care about animals, so I can tell people directly, face to face, what we do, and actually look for the sort of support that we are going to need to help us grow. Because by Jove, we're going to have to grow. With the problems that are facing everybody, if we don't do it, it won't be done. So I'm sorry for my rant. I'm sorry for criticising tourists. I don't criticise them all. The visitors we have here are amazing and we're always so pleased to see them. But they really do care and they understand what we're trying to do. So for these keyboard warriors, you can go as far as I'm concerned. For those of you that come and are happy to have camel rides without asking or checking how the camels are being looked after, who step into the calèches and think this is wonderful to trot round to Marrakesh in the heat, and think the square is really super and prepared to have their photographs taken with monkeys and so on. I have no time for that either. Equally, I don't have time for people who criticise it but aren't prepared to work with us and try and bring about change. Change is wanted, and we have created huge changes in a very short period of time. So if I have 10 more years of my life, I may be lucky. Help me bring about more change, please.